Hey guys, let's talk about Oakley Lynn Carlson. Oakley was born on December 6, 2016, and she's been missing since February 10, 2021, from Oakville, Washington. At the time of her disappearance, she was 4 years old, 3 feet tall, and 50 pounds. She's a Caucasian female with brown hair and brown eyes. The last confirmed sighting of Oakley was in Oakville, Washington on February 10, 2021. At the time of her disappearance, she lived with her parents, Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers, and her siblings. Her parents did not report her missing. A local school principal, Jessica Swift, whose daughter is friends with Oakley's sister, was the one who reported her disappearance. There was a fire at the Carlson family's residence in November 2021, which damaged their home. Andrew and Jordan did not call the fire department for assistance. They said they were unable to find their phones. After the fire on November 10th, Swift came over to offer assistance and stayed for about 45 minutes. She noticed Oakley wasn't there, which she found strange. She asked Andrew and Jordan about it and was told that Oakley was being punished and had been confined to her room. 2 weeks later, Swift visited again to drop off some supplies, staying for about 5 minutes. She didn't see Oakley this time either. On December 4th, Oakley's sister came to Swift's house for a sleepover with Swift's child. Swift asked her questions about Oakley, and her sister became upset and said, quote, "Oakley is no more," unquote. Swift asked her again where Oakley was, and her sister said Oakley had gone to live with her previous foster parents. The next day, Swift contacted the police and asked them to do a welfare check on Oakley. The police went to the Tumwater, Washington hotel where Oakley's family was staying at in the aftermath of the fire, and she wasn't there. Andrew said she was with his parents but couldn't provide any contact information for them. The police later reached out to Andrew's father, who said he hadn't seen Oakley since Christmas. When investigators told Andrew that Oakley was not with his parents, Andrew didn't appear to be surprised. Jordan was uncooperative and refused to answer questions. When the police went over to Oakley's home in Oakville, they found no sign of the girl or any evidence that she had been living there recently. All the other children had bedrooms, but there was no bedroom for Oakley, and none of her clothes or toys were at the home either. When interviewed, Oakley's siblings said they had been instructed by their mother not to talk about her, and her sister said Jordan told her Oakley had gone into the woods and had been eaten by wolves. The child's younger brother remembered Jordan beating Oakley with a belt and confining her to a closet, and said he had been worried that his sister would starve. He mentioned the fire and said when it happened, everyone got out of the house okay, except Oakley. After Oakley's disappearance was discovered, they were arrested on suspicion of manslaughter, but ultimately not charged. Instead, they were charged with second-degree abandonment of a dependent person. The dependent person in this case was not Oakley, but her 6-year-old sister. The charge was because Jordan and Andrew had allegedly failed to give their 6-year-old daughter her prescription medication for over a year. She was prescribed the medicine for a serious medical condition that can cause physical impairment and eventual death if left untreated. Jordan and Andrew were later also charged with 2 counts of child endangerment with a controlled substance for exposing their children to methamphetamine. Both of Oakley's siblings had, quote, extremely high, unquote, levels of methamphetamine in their bodies, meaning that they were either exposed to the drug or they ingested it. In March 2022, Andrew pleaded guilty to the charges against him. He has no prior criminal history. He was sentenced to 12 months in prison. Jordan pleaded guilty to the same charges in April. She was sentenced to 20 months in prison. In January 2023, after her release, she was arrested and charged with fraud and identity theft. These charges are unrelated to Oakley's disappearance and concern alleged fraudulent banking activity with multiple victims. Jordan and Andrew have not been cooperative with the investigation into Oakley's disappearance. They said they'd last seen their daughter on November 30th, 2021, but wouldn't say what had happened to her or where she was. Oakley had been raised by a foster family from the age of 7 months, as her parents both had substance abuse problems. She was returned to her biological parents in 2019, a week before her 3rd birthday. Her former foster parents had been active in the search for her and said they'd previously raised concerns about her safety and her parents' care. An extensive search of the 300-acre property where Oakley lived with her family showed no indication of her whereabouts. The police did find blood on the front door of the home and blood on the blinds. Police believe It is likely that Oakley is deceased, but the investigation is still ongoing and no charges have been filed against anyone in Oakley's disappearance. If you have any information, please call Grays Harbor Sheriff's Office at 360-533-8765.